You're watching healing videos at 2 a.m. again because $150 an hour and you're living paycheck to paycheck. You know you need to heal the guilt, the fear, the patterns that keep you stuck. But every solution you find costs money you don't have. But here's what nobody tells you. Deep emotional healing doesn't require a $5,000 retreat or a high-ticket coach. I healed guilt so heavy I couldn't charge clients properly, just with a €4 bottle of pine. And I still remember the morning I knew it was working because I woke up, opened my laptop, and stared at an email from a potential client asking my price. Before pine, I would have undercut myself, apologized in my head before I even typed the number. But that morning, something in my chest felt quiet. Not loud or confidence, just quiet. And I wrote the actual number, no discount, no apology, no explanation. A client I worked with went from waking in terror 3 nights a week to sleeping through the night in 3 months. About $20. 2 remedies, 1 little dropper bottle, and that's it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to start healing trauma, guilt, fear, or people-pleasing for the cost of a coffee. You'll have a clear 3-month roadmap and you'll have a free tracking practice that makes the subtle shifts visible, because this kind of healing doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It whispers, and you need to know how to listen. This isn't surface level positivity. This is vibrational healing that works from the inside out, whether you have money or not. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a vibrational healer and I help people with difficult emotions or emotional patterns and transform them into better lives using vibrational healing. And if that speaks to you and you're on a budget, well, why don't you join my masterclass? It's free, but it's full of healing insights, and you'll leave the class with your personal step forward and your personal €4 remedy formula. Now let's get to it. So last week I went online and I typed Bach Flower stock bottle just to see what someone brand new would actually pay. And I need you to understand something. 1 bottle will probably last you the rest of your life as well. So let me give you a little breakdown. In Europe, in France, where I live, a 10 milliliter stock bottle costs around €4. That's it, €4. In the US, the bottles are slightly bigger, of course, 20 milliliters instead of 10, and they run for about $19. Still not expensive when you think about what that bottle can actually do for you. So now let's talk about maintaining an actual healing practice for 3 months. So not a one-time thing, a real sustained practice. You'll need 1 stock bottle per month if you're working on different patterns. So that's 3 bottles total. In Europe, that's about €12, and you also need a 30 milliliter dropper bottle to mix your doses in, which costs under €1. Add a bottle of spring water, which you can get for free from a natural source if you want, or buy for next to nothing. And that's it, that is everything. So we're talking €12 to €13 for 3 months of deep emotional healing work. In the US, at $19 per bottle, you're looking at around $60 for 3 months, plus maybe let's say $3 for a dropper bottle. $63 for 3 months to work on trauma, guilt, fear, patterns you've carried for your whole life. Now compare that to 1 therapy session, 1 retreat weekend. And here's what most people don't realize about these bottles. You only use 2 drops at a time. 2 drops from your stock bottle goes into the dropper bottle, and that dropper bottle lasts a month, which means that $19 stock bottle, you'll have it for years if you take care of it. But here's where it gets tricky, because the price isn't actually what stops people. I want you to think about the last time you felt stuck. Maybe you scroll through Instagram and someone posting a retreat in Costa Rica, breathwork and cacao ceremonies and life-changing transformation. And you thought, well, that is what I need. If I only had $5,000 and 2 weeks off. If I only could afford that coach. If only I could go somewhere and do something big enough to finally fix what's broken. That belief is the thing keeping you stuck. Because here's what nobody tells you. The retreat doesn't heal you. The coach doesn't heal you. The beautiful location doesn't heal you. What heals you is the internal shift that happens when your frequency changes. And that shift doesn't require a plane ticket. It doesn't require a guru. It doesn't even require you leaving your house. I used to believe the same thing. I thought healing was something I had to go get, something outside of me, something expensive. And I spent years waiting for the right moment when I'd have enough money or enough time or enough permission to finally do that big transformational thing. And all that waiting did was simply keep me frozen. True healing comes from deeply within you, not saying someone can't activate something inside you, but the actual transformation, that happens in your vibrational body, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy field. And Bach Flower Remedies work right there on that subtle level, shifting your internal frequency bit by bit. You don't need to travel anywhere because the healing isn't happening in a location. It's happening inside of you. And you can access that for €4. But here's the part most people don't understand about how that shift actually works. Think about the last time you tried something new to heal yourself and nothing seemed to happen in the first week. You probably simply stopped, right? Thought it wasn't working. And this is exactly where most people quit Bach Flower Remedies before they even start. Because here's what actually happens when you take these beautiful, marvelous essences. They don't work on your physical body. They work on your vibrational body, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy field, the subtle body. And that shift happens so gradually, so subtly, that you won't even feel it happening. You can almost consider it like tuning a guitar. Let's say I tune a guitar 1 millimeter. You wouldn't notice that. A few hours, I tune it 1 millimeter again. You still don't notice that. The day after, I tune it 1 millimeter again. Nothing. We keep doing this every single day for 3 to 4 weeks. Each adjustment is too small to really register in the moment, but if you recorded the guitar on day 1 and then listened to it after 3 to 4 weeks, you would clearly hear that the tune has shifted. That is exactly how these remedies work. Every time you take a few drops, your internal frequency shifts just a tiny little bit, just enough to have an effect, but not enough that you notice it in the moment. You're not going to wake up the next morning feeling, super transformed. You won't have some dramatic emotional release in week 1. In fact, you might feel absolutely nothing for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And that's normal. That's how vibrational healing works. After 3 or 4 weeks, you look back and realize something. You don't feel like you used to anymore. You're not worrying the same way you used to. That guilt isn't sitting in your chest like it was. You're maybe not reacting to the same triggers the way you used to do. It's only when you compare where you started to where you are now that you really see the shift. And this requires something most of us don't give ourselves anymore. A little bit of time, a little bit of trust, and the willingness to keep going even when you can't immediately see the proof. But here's what makes that trust worthwhile. The shifts I'm talking about aren't surface level. They go deeper than you'd ever expect from something this affordable. So here's a question nobody wants to answer. What is the price of waking up in terror 3 times a week for the rest of your life? Because I worked with a man who had PTSD from the war in Iraq. He'd been in therapy for 3 years. Good therapy, it helped. But he still woke screaming 3 to 4 times per week. Daytime noises would trigger him so badly, his entire day was lost. He couldn't leave the house. He was terrified people would see him, panic, and then judge him for it. So we started with 2 remedies. One was Star of Bethlehem for shock and trauma, and Rock Rose for terror and panic. €8 total. The first 2 weeks, nothing. He didn't feel different at all. Week 3, he noticed the nightmares still came, but they didn't wreck him the way they used to. Second month, frequency dropped. 3 to 4 times a week became twice a week. Third month, the nightmares became rare. And when a noise triggered him, he'd move through it in about 30 minutes instead of losing his whole day to it. That shift changed his life. He could go outside again. He stopped living in fear of being seen. Now here's where it gets stranger. I had a phobia of spiders my entire life. I couldn't be in the house with a spider unless someone would kill it or put it outside. Then I took Mimulus for known fears, but I took it for fear of driving in the city. And a month later, I had to open the door and there was a spider right next to the handle, really nice. And I just opened the door. I didn't even think about it until I was laying in bed. I wasn't even trying to heal that. I didn't even know it would. So these remedies don't just fix the problem you name, they shift the frequency underneath it, underneath the whole pattern. And sometimes that means things you didn't even know were connected start to dissolve. But here's the part most people can't really get past. I need you to look at something you might not want to see. If you're sitting here right now thinking, I can't even spend €4 on myself, I'm willing to bet that that is actually not about money. It's about permission. And that might be the exact thing keeping you stuck. I lived this. I spent 6 years in such a state of self-denial that I genuinely believed I wasn't worth €4. Not 400, 4. I was living on almost no income. I gave nothing to myself, no rest, no joy, no healing, and I told myself it was because I couldn't afford it. But here's what I didn't see at that time. I was keeping myself in a stranglehold because a massive part of healing is loving yourself enough to believe you deserve it. And if you can't do that, why would you even want to heal? So there's this self-sabotage loop. You feel unworthy, so you deny yourself the one thing that could shift that feeling, which keeps you feeling unworthy. And the cycle just repeats. But let me tell you what nobody wants to say out loud. It's your duty to heal, not just for yourself, though that would definitely be enough, but because you want to be a good friend, you want to be a good partner, you want to be a good person in this world. You have something to give, and not giving it is hurting everybody around you. More than that, you owe it to yourself. You came here to live your life. The one real responsibility you have is to take care of yourself. And if the only thing standing between you and that is €4, well, that is a heartbreakingly small price to pay. Here's the part that changed everything for me. When you keep yourself in that state of fear, guilt, and self-denial, it doesn't just hurt you emotionally, it has a physical impact on everything. Your mood, your relationships, how well you can work, how clearly you can focus. You might get fired, you might repel opportunities without even knowing why. Because we're not just talking about feelings here, we're talking about vibrational healing, quantum field work. Your inner state creates your outer reality. As above, so below. If your internal frequency is stuck in I don't deserve this, the outside world will reflect that exact energy back to you. But the moment you shift that inner state, even just by giving yourself one small act of care, your expression changes, your behavior changes, and the world has no choice but to respond differently. And if you're thinking, but I literally can't afford anything right now, I need every cent just to survive, I hear you. But let me ask you this, how far does that logic go? You could starve yourself to save food money, you could stop sleeping to work more hours, you could refuse to wash yourself because, well, water costs money. Where does that self-denial end? At some point, you have to admit that you're a human being who deserves basic care, and healing your emotional world is really not a luxury. It is as essential as food and water, because if you kill your soul and spirit, you won't survive anyway, at least not in any meaningful sense. The truth is, getting rid of the things keeping you down is priceless. Feeling good, living a life that actually flows, there is no amount of money that can pay for that. And here's what makes me so passionate about this. The very thing you think you can't afford might be the only thing standing between you and the version of your life where money isn't this constant source of terror. Because that fear, that guilt, that belief that you're not worth it, those are the patterns blocking everything else. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. You are worth €4. You are worth the time it takes to sip a glass of water with 2 drops of remedy in it. And the moment you believe that deeply enough to act on it, everything starts to shift. You now understand that healing isn't locked behind a price tag. It is waiting in your willingness to meet yourself where you are. You're becoming someone who chooses their inner state over their bank balance. And that matters so much more than you think. Please don't stay like this. So here's a playlist that can help you with abundance. You can also join my Remedy Circle. Both are for free. And you can even join my free masterclass. And let me know what's the one emotion you would heal first if money wasn't the obstacle. Thank you so much for being here with me. I loved making this video. And I'll see you in the next one.